All right, guys, this lesson is on trig ratios. You'll also hear me call it SOHCAHTOA. All right. This S is going to be the sine. Sine is always going to be opposite over the hypotenuse. That's the O and the H. Cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And TOA, the tangent, is the opposite over the adjacent. Okay, those are just my little abbreviations there. So sine, our sine ratio in our first tab. We're going to let triangle ABC be a right triangle with acute angle A. The sine of angle A, written as sine A, just like this, is defined as the length of the leg opposite angle A. So there's the O. Sine is so, H-O, so that opposite. I'm going to remember that's the O on top. And then over the length of the leg of the hypotenuse. The length of hypotenuse. That's the H. So there's the SO. S-O-H in SOHCAHTOA. Sine is always the opposite over that hypotenuse. So in this case, the opposite of angle A is line segment BC. And the hypotenuse is always going to be the longest side across from the right angle, so this is AB. You could write BA. We'll write it in alphabetical order. So let's find sine of A and sine of B. And we're going to write each answer as a fraction, as a decimal. We're going to round to 4 decimal places if necessary. All right, so let's first do sine A. Remember, sine of A is opposite over hypotenuse. So here's angle A. So sine of A is the opposite, which is 8, over the hypotenuse, which is 17. That's written as a fraction. And to get the decimal, just divide 8 divided by 17 to 4 decimal places, 0.4706. Okay? Sine of B. I'm not looking at angle A anymore. Now I'm looking at angle B. But sine still tells me to do the opposite over the hypotenuse. But now let's look at angle B. The opposite of angle B is 15. 15 over the hypotenuse, which is still 17. And then you can reduce that fraction. The sine of B is to 4 decimal places, 0.8824. I'm just dividing there. All right, now let's use sine. All right, in order to do this, we're going to need to make sure that we change our calculator in mode. We're going to go down to radian and click over to degree. If you have your calculator, you can do that. And now we're going to use the sine ratio to find the value of x. Okay, so finding a side length given our triangle, given the sum of these degrees here. Okay. All right. So, excuse me. The first thing that I want to find is finding that sine ratio of A. Okay, sorry. So sine of A is our opposite over the hypotenuse still looking at sine. But I have what A is. A is the degree, that angle that I already have. So I'm actually looking for the sine. I have sine of 53 And I'm looking at the opposite, which is 22, over the hypotenuse, which is x. Well, sine of 53, so in the calculator, you press sine and then 53 and close the parentheses. And we're going to go to 4 decimal places. So I actually have 7986, all right, equals the 22 over x. All right, now I'm going to solve. This is just like a proportion. This is technically over 1. Cross multiply, and then we'll divide. So 0.7986x equals 22. Take 22 and divide it by 0.7986. X equals 27, about, round it, 27. We're going to the nearest tenth, it says 0.5. Okay, let's look at example B. Okay, again, I'm looking for the sine ratio. Here is my angle that I have. So I'm looking for a sine of 39. It's going to equal, remember, SOHCAHTOA, so, S-O-H. The opposite is 37 over the hypotenuse, which is x. Go ahead and put in your calculator. Sine of 39 is 0.6293 equals 37 over x. It's like a proportion. You can cross multiply. 6293x equals 37. And divide both sides by 0.6293. X equals about 58.8. Let's look at C. Again, still looking at sine. Sine of this right here. Opposite is now x over the hypotenuse, which is 94. The sine of 42 is 0.6691 equals x over 94. Consider it over 1. We're going to cross multiply. 0.6691 times 94 to the nearest tenth. X, 1x, or x is just 62.9. Good? And then D. Sine of 41, opposite over the hypotenuse. Sine of 41, 0.6561 equals 17 over x. 6561x equals 17. And then 17 divided by 6561 is about 25.9. What I'm going to do is pause this video now and do cosine and tangent in separate videos to make sure you have all of these notes in depth.